Welcome to No wait, this is my desktop actually, what you're seeing right now. My lovely internet browser. So what you're seeing here on the screen is, well, the Overwatch World Cup, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about that. I will probably shove some Overwatch gameplay in the back at some point, but well, I rather like this as a novel little event that's going on with Blizzard, so I figured I should talk about it, why it's kind of cool, and also why it's kind of weird, all at the same time. First things first, well, if you aren't aware, Blizzard are running a tournament that'll finish at BlizzCon called the Overwatch World Cup. They announced it a little while ago with this blog post here, and they explained it all in this. So if you haven't seen this, go read this as well. In it, teams are built from a short list of players voted in from a whole bunch of countries. All of these little ones here, which compete against each other for slots in the final tournament. 6 slots from Europe, 6 from Asia Pacific game region, which includes Australia and New Zealand. It's basically Australia, New Zealand, and all of the Asian countries, and then 4 from the Americas. A few of these countries already qualify, like the ones with little asterisk marks next to them, so they automatically qualify. They say that it's due to infrastructure and connectivity, but it's also, United States is in there, for example, Canada, I imagine. Does Canada have high ping? Really high ping? Higher ping than Chile or Colombia or Costa Rica? So I think it's just some of the more popular countries as well have made it through. Australia and New Zealand makes sense because they can't really connect to the Asia region that easily, I think, and can't really be expected to play on those. China and South Korea also making it through. But in Europe, holy moly, Europe gets no one through automatically. So all 6 slots are available in Europe, and Europe has a boatload of countries. Some of them are condensed, so for example Luxembourg, Netherlands and Belgium have been made into, I think they get made into a Benelux team, and I think some of the Baltic states also do end up being like a big Baltic team as well, rather than having a lot of little ones, so I think that might be that might be the Baltic countries, I guess. If you're from that region, you probably can figure out who's going to be combined with whom. So what they did is they sent emails to, I think it was like the top 200 or top 250 people in each region on the ladder. And they basically said, hey, would you like to be a part of this? And then they whittled that down to a short list of 24 people that you can now vote for. And this is the part where I start selling myself because, hey, I'm actually in there. I've already done my voting. I did my voting last night. I wanted to record it, but then it didn't work. And, the site was down for a while because it's just getting hammered. If you haven't voted already, go vote now. I am in there, one amongst many. It's the clunkiest name in the world, but it is in there. Mercy, for some reason, is on my most played still. I think that's because I played Mercy just all the way during my placements, and those were pretty long games as well, so that's why Mercy's on there. And you'll probably notice as well, like Stylos is in there, Valkyria's in there, for example, another streamer, but there's also pro players in there, like Cruz, Numlocked, Reels, who plays for We United as well, is in there. Kib isn't in there, and Kib is being put on blast right here, right now, because Reunited's carry player, like one of the best people in the UK, forgot to reply to the confirmation email. Fucking dumbass. So there goes some of our chances, yeah, beautiful. When voting is complete though, some interesting things happen. I think they actually clarify it down here as well. So what happens is, you don't actually just vote for the teams, you vote for, like a team captain is picked. I don't think the team captain is nominated through the voting either, it's just the team captain gets picked and then the captain assembles the team, taking the votes into account, but the voting will not determine the full lineups, so that will go down to the captains who are picked, and they will want Blizzard to figure out a good team lineup. So I guess that's just to stop as well, like if you have 6 carry players, then that's of course not going to be as useful as having like, a good tank player and a good carry player, a good flex player and a good support and that kind of stuff, so you're not going to have like a team that's really one-sided and lopsided. Once the teams are confirmed, there is a qualifier tournament. Blizzard put up this big rules document here. It's a very boring looking document. I've read too many contracts that look like this in my lifetime. Regional qualifiers, though, it's all explained in here for the cliff notes rather than looking at that boring screen. I'll probably put some gameplay up actually while we go through this so you can watch some of that in the background. So what it's going to be is a group stage. So what that means is that teams will get put together in little groups and then they will be playing through those. The top 2 teams in each group, I think it's 5 groups in Europe. Yeah, national teams from the European region will be assigned to one of 6 groups comprised of 5 national teams. So holy moly, that's pretty intense actually, that's really intense. And so the top 1 and 2 of each national team will then move into a best of 5 knockout, I think, and then it will go from there to whittle down to 6 teams. So 1 team from each group will end up qualifying, or no, your top 2 from each group goes through, and then the top 12 will have I think it's just a bracket tournament that'll knock them out till they get the top 6, and then those top 6 will go through to BlizzCon. In America, because 3 countries have already qualified, which is Canada, North America of course, and Brazil, then they're all competing for 1 spot. And in Asian and Pacific regions, they're competing for 3 spots, or no, 2 spots even, because New Zealand, Australia, China, and South Korea, of course, have already made it in. So in Europe, a lot's going to come down to these group stages, because if Sweden, for example, is in your group, well, good fucking luck. If Germany's in your group, good luck. If France is in your group, good luck. If Russia's in your group, good luck. There's a lot of very, very solid teams in Europe, and so it's going to be kind of interesting to see where that goes and how that ends up working out. That does bring me though nicely to my next talking point, which is, who is this event aimed at actually? Like, who's it for? What's it do? What's the intention behind this event? When I first heard this event and saw that community voting was a part of it, I thought that it was pretty clearly going to be very heavily aimed at, well, community figures. Since seeing who's been picked, however, I've noticed that it's pretty much universally pros with a sprinkling of community figures in there, which I think led me to sort of figure out what this event is aiming to do. And I think it's honestly just to try and get people more familiar with their local pro players. And when I say local, I mean regional, national, I guess. I honestly think that that's the main thrust here, bringing attention to the people playing at the highest level from your region. By trying to blend 1 or 2 community figures in with a group of pros, it says, hey, these are the people who you should be paying attention to. These are the really talented players. If you didn't know them before, you might know about them now. What has me curious is, well, there's no big financial reward for winning this tournament. So there's an appearance bonus, which I think is $3,000, it says in the rules, but, well, it's a free trip to BlizzCon as well, but no big prize pool at stake or anything like that. Although looking back at it and thinking on it, $3,000 is actually a pretty big chunk of money for just making it to the top 16 of the tournament. Jesus, that's a good amount of moolah. And the American teams have already made it to BlizzCon, so hang on. Jesus Christ. Lucky bastards. Lucky bastards. Still, any big events that are going to be running alongside this one surely won't have to take priority for the pro players. They're going to want to practice with their main teams rather than practicing with their national team, for example, and repeatedly just drilling, scrimming, getting better and better, preparing for this big tournament. The BlizzCon appearance would be great though for any teams with, big sponsors that, want to get their brand out there and want to get these players promoted. But if another tournament does decide to have its finals anywhere near BlizzCon, it could be kind of interesting to see how that works out, how they're going to manage their practice schedules. I'm sure this is an issue that people in the UK are kind of familiar with already. It's one of the lamentations of the national football team, for example, is that, well, it's just England's team really, not the whole UK, but the issue is that the national team is kind of god-awful because the local league is so much more valuable and has so much more time invested in it than the national level. Still, I do really like this event. Blizzard have traditionally done a show match style event at the first BlizzCon where the game is more broadly available to the public, so I'm fine with it being kind of esports light. I think it could be a fun thing to do just to hopefully kickstart a few people's interest in the esports scene and get it growing as it develops over time. I just worry that the blend of esports and community will cause a little bit of friction in some places. For example, in Australia, Muselk is in the running, I believe, and he's not a bad player by any means, but, well, of course he's going to get the votes because he's hugely popular. Same with Stylosa in the UK, same with me. Like, I definitely don't deserve a spot on a team that's aiming to be the best of the best over someone like Numlock, Cruz, even a couple of the other names on there that I recognize are probably better players than me. So at the end of the day, it does feel a little bit schizophrenic, having community vote but having it be pro-focused at the same time, which is why I think the captain's draft will play a bigger role than people expect. The vote will be weighed into the decision, but many of these players are invested in the pro scene and know who the other pro players are. It's an oddity of an event, but at the end of the day, I'll say this: no matter where you are, vote for who you want to see play. That's all you can really do. If that's me, Stylosa and Valkyria in the UK, that's up to you. If it's Cruz, Numlocks and Reels, that's also fine. Hell, we can all be on a team. It'll also be a pretty entertaining event regardless at the end of the day, and that's the real focus of this thing, not a conclusive determination of which nation is the best in the world at Overwatch. Not an ultra-competitive and rigorous Olympic-style clash of the world's finest and brightest. At the end of the day, it's a show match, or it's a show tournament, I guess, and one I'd like to see come back next year, being honest, but separate slightly from the pro side. Give talented amateurs at the top of the ladder a shot at going to BlizzCon to drum up hype alongside the esports scene. It'll be grand, it'll be a lot of fun. Only way I can see that happen, of course, is if the feedback is good and people take part in this event, so go vote if you haven't already. Thanks for watching to the end. I have been Josh as one voice amongst many, and this has been me talking about the World Cup. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. And disregard all that impartial bullshit I was doing, by the way. Go vote for me. Cheers. Toodles.
Triple kill. will.
Let's drop the beat.